In the heart of a vast, ancient forest, shrouded in darkness, there lived a boy named Lucas. He was an adventurous soul, always yearning to explore the unknown. One fateful summer day, his insatiable curiosity led him into the depths of the dense woods, a place he'd never ventured before. The sun hung low in the sky, casting eerie shadows across the forest floor as Lucas wandered further and further from the familiar trails. The trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out to grasp at him, their leaves whispering secrets he couldn't quite decipher. As evening approached, the once inviting woods took on a sinister aura. Lucas began to feel the weight of solitude, realizing he was alone, lost in the heart of the forest. Panic set in, and he desperately tried to retrace his steps, but the thick underbrush seemed to shift, conspiring against him. Every path he chose only led him deeper into the tangled maze. With each passing hour, the forest grew colder, darker, and more foreboding. Lucas's heart raced with every rustle and creak, and his footsteps echoed through the silent wilderness. He couldn't help but feel like he was being watched, as though unseen eyes were fixed upon him. The boy stumbled upon a small clearing, where an ancient, gnarled oak tree stood as the only sentinel. It seemed to beckon to him with its twisted limbs, and in his desperation, he approached. There, in the tree's hollow, he found a peculiar sight, a tattered, leather-bound journal. Lucas gingerly opened the book, revealing the ravings of a lost soul who had preceded him into the forest. The words were filled with fear and despair, telling a tale of being stalked by an elusive shadow, of whispers that promised doom, and of unnatural sounds that haunted the nights. The last entry in the journal was particularly chilling. "It watches, always watches." Shivers ran down Lucas's spine, and he felt a presence closing in around him. The twilight deepened, and he knew he had to find a way out. But the forest's grasp had grown too tight. With each step, the trees seemed to rearrange themselves, mocking him as they obscured any sign of escape. The whispers of the leaves grew louder, almost forming sinister words, and an icy wind cut through the air. Lucas could sense the shadow from the journal, lurking just out of sight, moving with him, watching. The night descended, and the forest became an impenetrable blackness. Lucas stumbled blindly through the underbrush, his heart pounding in his chest. The unseen eyes bore into him, and the shadows seemed to elongate and contort, mimicking the airy dance of the trees in the moonlight. In his terror, Lucas remembered a piece of advice from the journal. It mentioned an old legend of a hidden sanctuary within the forest, a place of refuge and safety. Determined to find it, he followed his instincts and the faint traces of a forgotten path. As he ventured deeper into the forest's heart, the woods grew more oppressive, the shadows more malevolent. The very air seemed to thicken, and the trees twisted into grotesque, nightmarish forms. The chilling cries of unseen creatures pierced the night, and Lucas's courage waned. After what felt like an eternity, Lucas stumbled upon a moss-covered ancient stone archway. It led into a hidden glen, bathed in an otherworldly, ethereal light. In the center of the glen stood an old, gnarled tree, its branches forming a protective canopy. Lucas felt drawn to it, sensing it was the sanctuary mentioned in the journal. Exhausted, he collapsed beneath the tree and took refuge within its shelter. As he caught his breath, he glanced around and saw them. The eyes of the forest, the ones that had watched him, were now encircling the glen, their eerie greenish glow piercing the darkness. The shadow from the journal materialized on the edge of the clearing, a spectral figure with hollow eyes and a twisted, elongated form. Lucas clutched the journal tightly and whispered words of defiance. The shadow recoiled, letting out an unearthly wail, and the eyes of the forest blinked out of existence. The boy's courage and the ancient sanctuary had repelled the malevolent forces that had haunted him. As dawn broke, the forest seemed to retreat, and its darkness gave way to light. Lucas, battered but victorious, emerged from the ancient glen. He had faced the terrors of the woods and lived to tell the tale. Lucas returned home, forever changed by his harrowing experience. He knew the forest's secrets were not to be taken lightly, that it held a darkness beyond imagination. And while he had found a sanctuary within its depths, he also understood that the ancient woods would forever remain a place of peril and mystery. From that day forward, Lucas became a guardian of the forest, spreading the legend of the hidden sanctuary and cautioning others to approach the woods with the utmost respect. The memory of those sinister eyes and the shadowy presence would haunt him, a reminder of the darkness that dwelled within the heart of the ancient forest.